as both of us being filmmakers and not have access to millions of dollars, we might have hundreds of dollars or maybe a couple of grand at most. So remember we were shooting on the roof and it started to rain? So that's a limitation. We could only be limited to one camera, very simple small lens on a shoulder rig that was covered with a foil, right? Because it was raining hard. In addition, we couldn't really work with many lights. We had these little tube lights that were cut with no C-stands, none of that stuff. It's just, I remember I couldn't even see the camera, but I trusted my guy Joe, who was basically running my camera through iPad.